All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Free. I'm Ryan, and I'm the pastor here. And listen, it is so good to be with you all here on another Saturday evening where it's rainy outside. I hear some of you, it took a really long time to get here. You're looking for parking. You were hydroplaning on the way here. So I know others are making their way in, so welcome. Welcome to all of you online, our online community, joining us from your wherever you are, free circles, sober living houses, kitchens, living rooms, parks, coffee shops, wherever you are. We're glad to have you tuning in, whether it's live tonight or throughout the week. We're glad you're part of this community. If you're new to this community, we are a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction and create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. So glad y'all are here. A few things you need to know about. Sorry, y'all. I was trying to operate the Facebook on my iPad. And there it is. There it is. All right, a few things you need to know about. First, y'all check this out. Amy and Matt Morley, they're on the back couch. Man, he had a cool decal on his truck. Some of y'all said, man, that's so cool. Where do we get these decals? Well, Matt just made those. So Matt and Amy made more of these, and they donated them to our community here at Free. And we are selling these. You can get a free decal. I know they don't look really cool like that, do they? But trust me, once they go on your car window, they look really cool. I'm holding up a white piece of paper. Isn't that awesome? But listen, if you want one, we have 49 of them left, 48, 47 of them left. We already sold a couple. So it comes with, they made instructions to go with these. And then you got to put some contact paper, but it's all in the instructions. So if you want one, see me afterwards. $10 a pop. Put a free decal on your truck or car or whatever you have. Also, Derek has Rockies tickets. We had 100 Rockies tickets given to the free community for free. Did someone clap for that? That's almost clap worthy, actually. We have 100 tickets. These tickets are free, but we are asking for. Can we turn my mic down a little? It keeps popping whenever I say certain words. We have 100 tickets, but we're asking for a $5 donation for these tickets, and that's so that you don't take them with maybe I can go, but maybe not, so that you actually have some skin in the game to make it to the game. So $5 donation for these tickets. The game is August 16th. Is that right? August 16th. Is that a Monday night? Monday night, 6:30? 6:40 against the San Francisco. Is it San Diego? Dan said it was the Giants. It's the Giants. No, it's the Padres. San Diego Padres. Y'all are wrong. So if you want to go, talk to Derek in the front. He's got a table set up. He'll put your name on a list, give you the tickets, and it's going to be fun. And everyone's welcome to this. It's free. Well, with a $5 suggested donation. So I want you all to come and hang out. It's going to be an awesome time together. Oh, what else do we have? Y'all, so much has happened. All right, I need to get real with y'all for a moment. My wife Tammy's in the back doing her thing, interacting with the online community. So, by the way, if y'all see Tammy in the back and a couple others on this table, they're not just like shooting off emails. They're not working on like Word documents. They're interacting with our online community, you all. So, thank you, Tammy, for doing that. So grateful. And, man, we got some news this week. It rocked our boats a little bit this week. And so we made a video about it so that I didn't have to stumble over words up here in front of you all. We could actually be intentional with the words we wanted to say. So here's a little 3-minute video of the news we got this week. And then we can talk about it. You can stick around later tonight, too, and we can talk about it some more. But here's the video.
Hey everyone, we have some news to share with you about the Welcome Home campaign. As you look around this place throughout the week and on a Saturday night, you know that we're growing. And we've been saying that for the past few months. We need more space. The need is growing. Our mission is growing, breaking the silence of addiction while creating space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection.
You know, in April, we located a building that we thought was going to be the perfect fit. 10,000 square feet, a perfect space for living out our mission, and it actually made more economic sense to buy this building rather than lease. So we signed the purchase sale agreement in early May. We even showcased this building's exterior in a video for you all to build excitement. But the further we got into our due diligence process, we discovered that there were some obstacles that we just could not overcome. One of the biggest obstacles was zoning and the lack of parking while getting approval from the city for alternative parking arrangements. So after a lot of discussion and heartache, we as a board of directors met this past Thursday night and decided that it was best to terminate the purchase of the building that we've been excited about and planning on for the past 3 months. It was a painful decision.
Over the past couple of days, we grieved. We cried, we were sad and disappointed, and we processed. And we're trusting God in the midst of this. And we are going to keep moving forward and finding Free's new home. The search is already in process.
So we need to find a different space, as our current space is being leased to someone else in the very near future. We need bigger space, whether it's a building to purchase or one to lease, because as you know, addiction, isolation, and despair are still growing. And let me remind you, 93,000 people in the U.S. died last year of an overdose. That's up from 70,000 people just the year before. And as we as a community are still growing, in fact, every week we are seeing new people come in, addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees, and we need to meet this need. So we need your continued support in prayers and financially, and maybe now even more than ever. And here's what we know. You are not part of this because of some sort of physical building. I mean, let's just be honest. Many of you are used to meeting in the dark, dingy basements of a church for your 12-step meetings. But you are part of this community because of our mission to break the silence of addiction, and that's what we're going to keep doing in the world. That's what God has called us to do.
And hey, if you guys have an idea of any 10,000 square foot building that's ready to move in, give us a shout.
Someone started to clap for that. Ben, you can clap for that, dude. Man, and I'll say more about this in the message tonight, but it was, y'all know, like we've been excited about this for the last 3 months, and I've been trying to get you all excited about it, and you have been excited about it with us for the last 3 months, and so to get this news just on Thursday night, man, I've been scared. And then our theme was anxiety tonight. How about that? Like we're doing these 6 emotions. It couldn't have been something else. It had to be anxiety. So like I said, if you have questions, let's talk. We're looking for new space. And like I said in the video, y'all aren't part of this because of some space. You're part of this for the mission. We need the space. We need a new home. When we're going to get it, our agent's already on it. I would tell you guys, keep your eyes open if you see some space. We want to stay in South Denver. We might have to find some interim options, but we are not giving up. I was telling Lex earlier, I had about a 13-second moment this week where I thought, hey, maybe this is God signing me that I should this is our opportunity to move down to a beach and kind of just take it easy. And it only lasted for about 13 seconds because, no, this is the work I'm called to. This is the work I love. This is the community I have fallen in love with. And, yeah, we're going to keep going together. So thank you all for being part of this. I know it feels like I don't know, a head fake. You get excited about something and you got to start moving in a new direction. We got to pivot. If we didn't learn anything else from the COVID-19 pandemic, we learned how to pivot, didn't we? So we're going to keep pivoting. So thank you all. Like I said, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, tears, I saw some tears in the back. I know it's some hard stuff. So we'll talk more. But speaking of the coffee with the candidate, do we have that image? It's still going to happen because we still want to talk about what we're doing here, the vision, the mission, this campaign, the Welcome Home campaign. We are still going to do this campaign because it's going towards our home and we are going to get a home. And that'll still be August 10th, but it's going to be here instead of the new space. I was so excited to show you all the new space. That's clearly not happening, but we are still going to vision together and talk about the mission together and talk about this community together. So I hope you come to that. Online people, that's happening with you. There's a Zoom link on the flyer, and that'll happen from 6 to 7:30. I'm sorry, 5 to 6:30 Mountain Time. All right, y'all, let's start in this community after that kind of heavy stuff. I'm just going to take a breath. Yeah, it's good to breathe. Let's celebrate together, shall we? Because that's the way we start in this community. We don't ignore the hard stuff. There's some heartaches out there. I get it. But we don't start there. We start with the celebrations. So take 3 minutes and give us the good things, the new things in life, the sobriety anniversaries, the birthdays, the babies being born, the new jobs being taken. Whatever it is good in your life, that's what we want. Online people, take 3 minutes, put them in the comments. I know it can feel like an act of vulnerability. That's because it is an act of vulnerability, and it's a good thing. I promise you, this community celebrates with you. And if you're here in the house, we'll do our own thing. So take 3, and we'll see you in a minute.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning, time to go. Got that smile upon my face, 'cause there's excitement in the chase, this I know. Yeah, I'm going for the ride and find myself, I am alive, and I soar. Still I run towards the wind and let the challenge draw me in, 'cause I want more. Oh, we are all looking for adventure. 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 Oh, wake up heart and wake up mind, and see the world is yours to find, and with every passing day there's more, calling you out to explore. Get up and go. There is joy found in the race, and I feel it in the place where I'm free. And I simply can't deny it, that I feel adventure calling out to me. Yeah, we are all looking for adventure. 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 We are all looking for And I'm living free, living free, living free, and I was meant to be. Living free, living free, living free, and I was meant to be. I'm living free, living free.
We celebrate here. All right, Tammy's joining me. It's good to celebrate tonight, isn't it?
Oh, I could like hardly make eye contact with the congregation, with all you people while we were sharing that news. So
You almost called them a congregation.
I know it's churchy.
That's
I'm
okay.
a pastor's
You're
wife.
so
I'm sorry.
churchy. I call them a community.
Oh, shoot.
All right. Well, let's celebrate, shall we? You go first.
Yeah. Can I celebrate Lex? I heard it was his birthday today.
Happy
Lex.
birthday. We had a lot of good celebrations in the
Yes, we
house. You know,
did.
lots of sobriety, lots of just good things happening. So let's hit it.
Just says just celebrated 5 years of sobriety. That's awesome.
Way to go,
Jess.
Jess.
I think I
So
met
awesome.
Jess right after her 3 years, so that's awesome, Jess.
Yeah, she's been a part of
Celebrating
this
with
community
you.
a long time.
Yeah.
Layla says, my daughter's moving into a new house tomorrow. Hey, we're going to celebrate that with you, Layla. Congratulations to your daughter.
Vicky says, praise God for this community.
That's right.
second
We'll
that.
celebrate that with you, Vicky. We're grateful for this community, too. All right, Jana says, 29 months, and today is my belly button birthday. Went roller skating with my family. Way to
Love
go,
that.
Jana. The gifts of sobriety. You wanna scoot through? You're all good. You're all good. Your head can be on camera.
Caitlin says, found myself an Al-Anon sponsor this weekend. One more step forward.
There you
That's
go,
great,
Caitlin. Proud of you. And let me just take a minute and highlight our mission. We are a community for people of addicts and the loved ones of addicts and spiritual refugees. So our Al-Anon people, we love having y'all here. We are for you. Christy, is it my turn? Yeah. Christy from North Carolina, praising God that Jen's brother returned to work. His leg continues to heal.
Awesome.
We're celebrating that with you, Christy and Jen, and continue prayers for your brother. Glad to hear this news.
And Roy says, I'm celebrating God's plan for free, waiting for him to reveal his big plan.
We'll celebrate that with you, Roy. You mean God hasn't forgotten about us? Is that what you're saying? Okay, good. Jen, 23 months sober on 8/7. Woohoo. Well, that's a weird thing. Woohoo. Tammy said it much better than I did. Christy and I booked our trip to Colorado for the week of September 7th. We will be in attendance on September 4th. I can't think of anywhere or anyone else that I would rather share my 2-year sober birthday with. Man, I'm so proud of you, Jen.
Yeah,
Listen,
Jen.
guys, Jen and Christy are part of this community. They've been with us a long time. We met them for the first time when they flew in last year, right?
Last year,
And they
about a
came
year
to
ago,
one of
yeah.
the services, and they tune in each week from North Carolina. And she sent me a message. If they looked at getting a car, and she said car rentals are like out of this world, crazy expensive right now. If anyone has a car they might be able to borrow that week, they would be really, really grateful. So let me know at some time, or for those of you that know Jen and Christy, let them know on the Facebook or however y'all talk.
Robert says, celebrating 4 years alcohol-free.
All right, Bob, way to go, dude. I miss you guys. Hope you're doing well. That's awesome. We're celebrating that with you. Tina says, I'm glad to be part of a community that doesn't see not getting what we want. Yes, as God not loving us, needing to work harder, push hard. Yes, God is faithful, and I love having leaders who trust in the unknown. Thank you for that, Tina.
Kinda love
You
you too,
articulated our thoughts exactly. Thank you. We're going to celebrate that with you. Yeah, it was a good one. We should screenshot that one.
Clifford from YouTube says, celebrating free. You help my mom and I discuss the effects of addiction on our family and help open healthy and productive conversations. Thanks for
That's
sharing
our
that.
mission, Clifford, is to break
Yeah.
the silence of addiction. Way to go, dude. Glad we could be a part of that conversation. Thank you, Tammy, for joining me up here. Thank you all for realizing and recognizing together the importance of celebrating, even on tough nights, even when it's tough. We celebrate, and I truly believe in that. That's not like a false thing. Like, we can truly celebrate even when things are hard, and I know this community gets that more than anybody. So we are in the second week of this series called Emotions, the emotional roller coaster of recovery. Last week we covered surprise, and this week it is anxiety. Hold on one second, y'all. Now I'm switching back to Facebook on my phone. I'd like to see what y'all say. Okay, so the question, when it comes to anxiety, the question really isn't how do you get rid of your anxiety, but rather what do you do with your anxiety? And I will be honest with y'all. This message tonight, as you can imagine, when I was preparing it this week, it had a way of all of a sudden becoming really personal. And we'll get there in just a moment. But first, some technicalities. because the APA, the American Psychological Association, they give us the technical definition of anxiety, and here's how they define it. They say anxiety is an emotion characterized by feelings of tension, worried thoughts, and physical changes like increased blood pressure. And then they go on to tell us about people with anxiety disorders. And they say that people with anxiety disorders usually have recurring intrusive thoughts or concerns. They may avoid certain situations out of worry. They may also have physical symptoms such as sweating, trembling, dizziness, or a rapid heartbeat. And listen, this is why I bring this up. Because anxiety disorder, we have to be real clear, it's a very real thing in our culture. In fact, it's so real that it affects 40 million people here in the U.S. And out of those 40 million people, only about 36% of those people are getting some kind of professional help. Now, how many of y'all know exactly what it feels like to have an overwhelming, consuming anxiety? Yeah. So you see that 40 million, right? You know, I told you the story last week. We were talking about the emotion of surprise, and I told you the story of the surprise of my brother who was 3 years older, battling this disease, this ugly disease of addiction and alcoholism, drug addiction, and on his own will going into rehab and getting clean and sober, staying for the whole 14 months and receiving a letter of forgiveness, and it just made me weep. I dropped to my knees, and then another surprise 2.5 years later of hearing of his relapse, and in his relapse, he got behind the wheel of a car drunk and he was killed in that car accident. And y'all, it just totally rocked my world, turned everything upside down for many, many years. And what I can tell you is it wasn't just days or weeks or even months, but it was years. To my recollection, it was about 2 years of fighting anxiety hardcore. And y'all, it was so baffling to me because I could tell you exactly when that anxiety was going to hit, but I couldn't explain it. It absolutely baffled me. I knew on the daily this thing was going to hit, and it would be right when the sun would start to set. When the sun started to set, Ryan's anxiety would go through the roof. When the sun started to sweat, my hands would get all sweaty. My stomach would start to churn. When the sun started to set, I had all this fear that would come over me, and I thought, where is this coming from? I can't articulate it. I can't explain it. And some nights I would go to bed and I would wake up just in these cold sweats, or I'd wake up with night terrors. Some nights I would wake up and it would feel like someone was holding me down in my bed and I couldn't move. And it's some of the most terrifying things I've ever felt. And you know, what I can say now, again, in looking back, thank God for grief counselors. Thank God for medication that can actually help part the clouds when it seems like those clouds can't be parted. You know, at least once a year we go down to Florida. We have family in Florida, and they're on the west coast of Florida, Naples and Fort Myers. And you know, one of my favorite things about being in Florida, it's to watch the sunsets there. And it's become kind of a running joke in the family. Oh my goodness, Ryan's going to have to cut dinner short again because he's got to see the sunset, the same one he saw last night. And they'll kind of poke fun at me a little bit. Some of them will say, what, we got to go to the pier again tonight? We got to go to the beach again tonight? What, is it going to do something different tonight? I mean, should we be ready for it? And I had to do some critical reflection. Why does Ryan like sunsets so much? I mean, outside of their just purely natural beauty. Anxiety. Yeah, because I remember a day when sunsets were terrifying. I mean, they represented fear, anxiety, trembling, and now it's like a gift. Now that doesn't represent darkness, but it represents something new, a new possibility that's able to happen. It's a gift. It's those things that God gives us. It's those gifts that it's God giving us those things that we couldn't bring about ourselves. You know what I mean? The things we try for, but we couldn't bring about on our own. Yeah. Did you know that in July of 2019, so 2 years ago, July 2019, 8.2% of adults showed signs of anxiety disorder. Guess what happened 1 year later, July 2020? Do you know what happened in July 2020? Yeah, we had this little thing called COVID-19, like raging and blaring and a pandemic. July 2020, 1 year ago, that number went from 8.2% of adults to 36% of adults that showed signs of anxiety disorder. And listen, I'm saying all this because I cannot stress to you enough, if that is you, if you are someone who is battling anxiety, an overwhelming sense of anxiety, the kind that consumes you, please get help. Please see a doctor. Please see a therapist. There are professionals out there who can help you cope with your anxiety, and you don't have to be alone. If you're in recovery, if you work a 12-step program, keep working your program, keep meeting with a sponsor, keep sponsoring other people, keep going to meetings, but don't rely only on those tools to help you work through anxiety. There are professionals out there who can help you. And listen, there is no shame in this. There's no shame in having to take medication, having to see a professional. No shame at all in this. But I do want to shift gears for just a moment. Because here's how one spiritual thinker defines anxiety, and I think she's just so spot on. She asks, what's the opposite of anxiety? And then she says, it's calm, it's centered, it's contentment. So tonight I want to address with you not anxiety disorder, but that kind of low-grade anxiety that just has the ability to just kind of hover in your life. You know what I mean? Because this is the truth. Even in recovery, for those of you in recovery, even in your spiritual fitness, you can still experience anxiety. This is normal and natural. Your anxiety, like all of our emotions, your anxiety is not a bad thing. The question is, what are you doing with it? Are you simply the person who you've experienced too much negative in your life? Bad things have happened, so you are off in the corner. You are convinced that there is no goodness in the world, and even if there is, it's surely not coming your way, so you're just waiting for the next shoe to drop. Or are you welcoming your anxiousness and actually doing something with it, dealing with it? So let me tell you all about my week. How'd your week go? Let me tell you all about my week. And by the way, this theme of anxiety, we picked it several weeks ago to have on tonight, the second emotion. There's a reason we did it right after surprise. You can probably see connections of surprise than anxiety. Sometimes I think God just thinks he's being funny with us, making that be tonight. So it was last Sunday. We got in the car and we drove to Omaha, Nebraska. Tammy's family's in Omaha, so we go to Omaha and we spend a few days with Tammy's family, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we jump in a car Wednesday morning, we head back. But on Tuesday, while we were in Omaha, we find out that through a string of emails, we thought our closing date was going to be next week, August 2nd to be exact. That's in just a couple of days. And we find out the closing date's not August 2nd. It's going to be now September 1st. And I was like, dang, well, how am I going to announce that to the community? Because I've been saying August 2nd for the last 3 weeks, and we planned an August 10th event in a new space to give a tour and to do some visioning together. And what happens when things don't go our way or uncertainties come in? Well, anxiety starts to go up a little bit, doesn't it? And by the way, that same day, we also received a string of emails that said, hey, and we have to meet with the city to clear up some zoning and usage issues. Man, those unknowns come, and what happens? Ryan's anxiety just goes up a little bit. Y'all know what I mean? You been there? So Wednesday morning hits. We jump in the car to make the 8-hour drive back to our home in Denver with, did y'all know we had 4 kids? All 4 of them in the back seat. Yeah, with our 4 kids, we jump in the car, make the drive back. And the meeting was at 1 o'clock with the city. So I put my earbuds in. I get on Zoom on my phone. Tammy takes over the wheel. I mean, she actually started driving. She didn't just hold the wheel. She started driving. And it was a 23-minute meeting. And at the end of the 23-minute meeting, it was very clear to me that, man, these hurdles are a little bigger than I thought. Man, we got some real hurdles to jump, and those unknowns come in, and what happens when the unknowns come in? Well, your anxiety just goes up a little bit. And I was on the phone most of the morning for half the drive, and then on that Zoom call. And after the Zoom call, I said to Tammy, because what do we do when we get anxious? Yeah, we need a nap. So I said to Tammy, listen, do you care if I just take a little nap and close my eyes for a minute? She says, sure, honey. My daughter throws me up a pillow. I close my eyes. I wake up, and we're getting off this exit, and I woke up, and I said, oh, are we stopping? I think we have enough gas. She said, yeah, but I saw this Dairy Queen, and I figured we'd get some ice cream. I was like, honey, that's perfect. It's like 107 degrees outside. Let's get some ice cream. And I start rubbing my eyes a little bit. I said, where are we at? And she says, I think we're just somewhere in the middle of some small town in Nebraska. And I'm rubbing my eyes a little bit, and I see this sign. I said, well, that's strange because I think we're in Sydney. And she says, no way are we in Sydney. If we're in Sydney, that means I missed an exit, and that means we're like 2 hours the opposite direction. That means we're almost in Wyoming. And I said, yeah, no, I think we're in Sydney because the sign just said, welcome to Sydney. And I remember the sign because right below it said, small land, big opportunity. I'm looking for this big opportunity somewhere. So we go into the Dairy Queen. We're in the drive-through line. We order our ice cream, pecan cluster blizzard, medium. And then we pull up one car. I pull out my trusted iPhone. I pull up the maps. And y'all know that blue dot that just kind of blinks? So it's hovering over this city called Sydney, Nebraska. I said, yeah, honey, we're in Sydney. We pull up one more car length. The car was kind of quiet at that time. And she reaches over and grabs my hand. And she said, I know it's been a stressful day. And I'm so sorry I've taken us 2 hours in the wrong direction. But at least we get some ice cream. I mean, what are you going to say to that? You're going to shame her and say, well, honey, I can't believe you missed the exit. I mean, you're going to eat your ice cream and be grateful. So, y'all, I take over the driving shortly after. And my, no connection there. We trade. It's a partnership, right? So I'm driving, and my anxiety is getting a little higher, thinking of the day's events, and I got my earbuds in. And y'all know when you're anxious and you don't know exactly what you want to soothe you, so I'm going through my music. I turn on some I Prevail. Any I Prevail fans out there? Yeah, some heavy metal. And then I was like, this ain't working for me, so I go to Eminem, some hardcore rap, and I was like, man, this ain't working for me either. Then I went to Gungor Worship, and nothing was working, so I just hit the mix, and I started to pray. And y'all, I must have prayed the serenity prayer 1,000 different times. And sometimes we pray that prayer, and let's just be honest, we say it because we memorized it and it's rote. We say it at the end of meetings. And in other times, and I love this prayer, other times we pray it like our life depends on it. So I'm praying this prayer, and then we get home. And I talked to a buddy that night, and I was telling him about the day's events, some of my anxiety, some of my uncertainty, some of my fear. And he said, Ryan, do you trust God? It's an interesting question, isn't it? I mean, sometimes the tendency is like, oh, yeah, I'm a pastor. Of course I trust God. No. Do you trust God? Here's a screenshot. I just posted this on social earlier today. Here's a screenshot of the unedited note I put in my phone on May 17th, just a couple of months ago. And y'all, why that stands out to me is because on that day, May 17th, 2021, I was at the gym, and I was on the treadmill, and I was having this kind of long, drawn-out conversation with God, asking all the questions. This was right after we signed the purchase sale agreement on the new building. And right after we started the campaigning, God, what if this doesn't work? What if the community doesn't buy into it? What if the fundraising doesn't work? What if we don't raise enough money? What if? And you all won't hear me say this very often, but God spoke to me on that day. So clearly it was almost audible. And God said, Ryan, do you trust me? Do you trust me? It was so impactful for me. I pulled out my notes section on my phone, and I took a note of it. Ryan, do you trust me? And it wasn't the kind of trust that says, do you trust that I'm going to work all this out to make it go your way? Do you trust that I'm going to pull some strings here and manipulate the situation? It was that deeper kind of trust where God says, do you trust that no matter what happens, I am going to care for you, I am going to provide for you, I am going to sustain you? You see, because when I can answer yes to that question, I find peace amidst the storm. When I can answer yes to that question, God has a way of meeting calamity with serenity. Is it true? Because what's the opposite of anxiety? Calm, centered contentment. What's the one thing I've learned in my in my sobriety, in my recovery? When I let go, when I don't hold on to things too tightly, God can work miracles. And the miracle is calamity being matched with serenity. For how many of you is that a miracle? And plus, I was thinking that night anyway, on that Wednesday night, I was thinking, well, these are just obstacles of zoning and permitting. Surely we're going to get through them anyway. And then Thursday rolled around, and our experts that we had working on this, they got back to us with their research, and it was some pretty grim news. They told us that if it were them, they would stop the purchase. And so that night, we gathered as a board of directors, and we got together and we made the unanimous vote to terminate the deal. And see, my anxiety hovers when the plan doesn't go the way I want it to. And my anxiety, maybe your anxiety functions the same way. My anxiety has a way of highlighting my fears. And so that night, Thursday night, when I left here and I was driving home at like 9:30 at night, all the fears came to the surface. How do I tell the community this? We've been excited about this for the last 3 months. Are they going to trust me? How's this going to make me look? Because that's really important. Can we really start this process over at this point? And I'm scared because the truth is we do need a new home. We only have a limited time here. All the fears come to the surface. And y'all, I pull into my driveway and I open my garage. And my little 8-year-old daughter, Shiloh, she's sitting on the garage stairs. And she's sitting just like this. It's like 9:30 at night, past her bedtime. And I get out of the car, and she comes up to me and she gives me the biggest hug. And she says, Poppy, Mom told me you had a really hard meeting. And I don't know if you all do this in your household, but we try to talk about emotions. I know some families, you don't talk about emotions. You just shove it all under the carpet. But we talk about emotions, even the hard ones. And so I said, yeah, baby, I had a really hard meeting. We got some hard news, and we're not going to be able to move into our new free home that we've been excited about, and the kids have been excited about it too, and they've been visioning about the kids' rooms. And I said, baby, I'm sad. I'm disappointed. And she says, well, Poppy, Selah's our older daughter, 10 years old, be 11 next week. She says, Selah said that God closed this door and God was going to provide something better down the road. She said, do you believe that? I try to get out of those questions. I said, baby, I am just so grateful that I can come home on hard days and to be with a family that loves me on these hard days. I am just so grateful that you stayed up late to give me this gigantic hug in the garage. And I also mentioned, because we talk about sobriety too, I said, I'm so grateful that I can come home on a hard night and not have to have a drink. And she said, yeah, but Poppy, you didn't answer my question. Do you believe that? And y'all, listen, there is nothing more scary and more sacred and more holy than having these spiritual conversations with your kids. And so what I said to her was, Shiloh, I believe that no matter what happens, God is going to care for us, God is going to provide, and God is going to sustain. And that seemed to make sense to her. And then I said, I don't believe God brought us all this way to then drop us off and say peace out. In other words, Shiloh, God is always going to be with us. And let me say this to you all. I know that you have my back. I hope you know that I have your back. And I know you are invested here You are in this thing because of the mission, like I said earlier, of breaking the silence of addiction. It's the mission, not a building, that will continue to drive us. I hope you know that, and you can hold me accountable to that. It was Danny who called me, Danny Colella, our digital content director, who called me yesterday afternoon. He said, hey, this is your daily reminder. 93,000 people died of a drug overdose last year. There are still people, loved ones, family members watching their loved ones battle addictions of all kinds. He said, hey, remember, there are still spiritual refugees out there who need a place of belonging, and that's what we do here, my friends. May we never forget our mission here and the work God calls us to. And my brothers and sisters, hard things will happen even in your recovery. And anxiety can still creep up. And the question isn't, how do I get rid of my anxiety, but rather, what am I doing with it? So let me close with this story. It's a story about the Apostle Paul from the New Testament. The Apostle Paul would travel around with these travel companions, and he would start these new churches and new movements in different regions. And on this one, he was traveling with his travel companion Silas, and they went into this first century city called Thessalonica, where the people of, they're called the Thessalonians, where they were. He started a church, started a movement, then they would move to another place. And the way they stayed in touch with them was to then write letters to them. So Paul wrote a letter to them. He loved this community. He had such a deep affection for them. 14 times he refers to them as my brothers and sisters. He says to them, when I'm away from you, I feel like an orphaned child estranged from the family. And they're a new faith community. They've got all kinds of anxieties creeping up. They've got simple questions. They say, Paul, like, grandma just died. Is she in good hands? And so Paul writes this letter to them to calm their anxieties. Here's what he says at the end of this letter. Just a few verses. He says, get along among yourselves, each of you doing your part. Gently encourage the stragglers and reach out for the exhausted, pulling them to their feet. Be patient with each person, attentive to individual needs, and be careful that when you get on each other's nerves, you don't snap at each other. Look for the best in each other and always do your best to bring it out. Be cheerful no matter what. Pray all the time. Thank God no matter what happens. So I'll leave you with this. Here's 5 takeaways I take from that passage. Takeaways that I think help us deal with our very real anxiety. The first one is, stop beating yourself up. It doesn't work, does it? It hasn't worked for you. Stop beating yourself up. Find a different way. Second, be gentle. Encourage others. Lift them up. And you say, man, I can't do that because you don't know how much they annoy me. Man, that person, they just annoy me. Man, you don't know what they're going through. You don't know the battle they're facing. You don't have to be a doormat, but you can be gentle. You can encourage. You can lift up people. Number 3, spend real time with real people. Because you know the whole thing is about relationships, right? I mean, the whole thing is about relationships. It's about real people. And be a good listener. If you're the one in the room who's always doing most of the talking, find a new way. Be a better listener. Listen to the needs of actual people. Number 4, show grace. Be grace. Let's say it another way. Remember the grace that God has given you and let that drive you. And 5th and finally, express gratitude and ask yourself this question: do I trust God? Easier said than done sometimes, isn't it? Do I trust God? So I want you to take 60 seconds, as we do in this community, and just take a minute and reflect. Do you trust God even in the midst of your anxiety? take a moment, and then we'll come back. Everybody, do you trust God even with your anxiety? Dang, I wish that was easier. I wish I trusted God more sometimes. If you're new with us tonight, we have a guest storyteller every Saturday night. I want you all to know that. We have someone come in and to share some of their experience with the topic we're talking about. The topic tonight being anxiety. So Noelle, our new, if you missed it last week, Noelle has joined the free staff team. Noelle is our vision implementation lead. She's also helping finding different storytellers. So if you're interested in sharing some of your story, talk to Noelle. Do you like how I just put that on you? Is that cool? So she contacted Seija. Seija's in the house. I saw her in the back. I think she was praying or meditating. She said last week, she said, hey, you've got to get Seija here. She would just totally rock the house with this subject. Do you care if I contact Seija? I said, please do. She contacted Seija. Seija said yes to this opportunity. I just met Seija for the first time over the phone this week. Saw her for the first time tonight. But she is going to share with us what anxiety looked like before she got... Do you know, Seija? Because you were rubbing your hands like, oh my goodness, this is going to be good. Dara knows. All right. She's going to talk to us a little bit about what... anxiety looked like in her life before getting sober and what it looks like now and how we use this new toolbox that we get in recovery. So y'all help me welcome my new friend and sober sister, Seija Nelson. But it would change a pattern that we've had for 2 years, and I don't know if we want to do that.
Okay.
Seija, I'm so glad you're here. Let me grab my notes. Thanks for being here. Thanks. Oh, you know what else we need to do? We need to light this candle.
Is that you know?
And by light it, I mean turn it on. Thank you for being here on short notice, too.
Thank you for having me.
Noelle just said glowing things about you, so there's no pressure at all. Noelle's like your greatest fan though, so that's great, and apparently Dara is too. So, yeah. Oh, we might have to talk about that tonight. Some of you all know that Noelle had a very traumatic experience 2 weeks ago with your dog coming down the mountain, and you helped carry the dog down the mountain.
I did.
And the dog's name is Brecken, and Brecken is doing fine, right? All right, important stuff. So let's jump right into it, Seija.
Okay.
I love the sentence you said to me on the phone. I wrote it down. And you said, I always believed in God, but I didn't start to trust God till I got sober. So talk to us a little bit about the two things I said you were going to talk about. Anxiety before you got sober. Talk to us about how that present itself in your life.
So for me, I am the fifth of six girls. I grew up in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. And I think growing up, looking back at my pre-sober days, I think anxiety was just part of life. Life was chaotic. Life with 7 women, there was a lot of estrogen. And there was, I think you mentioned, I was thinking this when I was standing in the back, you said about emotions being pushed under the rug.
Yeah.
And that's what I grew up with.
Yeah, I think lots of families do, right?
We just didn't talk about
Yep.
it. we didn't deal with it. We didn't until it was the only thing in the room, not just the elephant in the room.
Ah.
And so anxiety for me, I think, I didn't start drinking really until after high school. I played sports all growing up, so I didn't want to have that affect me playing. So when I started drinking after high school, I think I drank whether life was good, life was hard, things were there to celebrate. I think the biggest moment that I felt anxiety early in life was really right after my oldest was born. I was 20 when I had him. I was a single mom. I was working full time. I was trying to function and not really sure how. And I think I started to feel that part of, I don't know how to cope other than to not. And so I didn't.
Ooh, say that again. Say that again, because that's so important. Say it again. I don't know how to cope other than. Yeah, say it again.
I really didn't know how to cope until I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know how to deal with things.
Yeah.
Things weren't talked about.
So, so walk us through a little bit about how you got sober, and what the anxiety. Well, so what did anxiety look like for you before getting sober? I mean, I know you said it just kind of creeps up everywhere. Anxious about kids' birthday parties, anxious about whatever it was in life you had to do that caused anxiety.
Yeah. When you asked me that the other day, I think that was my answer, was everything. You know, life events, kids, sports games, school events. I remember going into parent-teacher conferences hammered and thinking, they have no idea I've been drinking. And I'm like breathing fire, you know? Like you could light a lighter and it would have exploded. Really, so we moved here from the Chicago suburbs in August.
Speaking of anxiety, you got anxiety around the Cubs? Well, that's a
take
second
this
segment,
off
episode 2.
I already bought tickets to the game on Wednesday. I'm ready to return.
There you
them.
go.
I don't want to watch the Iowa Cubs play. So.
Oh, yes.
So.
I'm from St. Louis.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So. Choke that down.
Mm-hmm.
So we moved here in August of 2014. My sobriety date is April 10th of 2015. So it was a quick 8 months, isolated out here. I knew no one. Didn't have to know anyone.
Yeah.
And I say that, and then I think back, and you know, when I say I didn't have to be accountable to anything, I should have been accountable. But my older 2 kids, I have 3 kids, 19, 15, and 11. My older 2 could walk to school. I stayed home with my youngest. I would literally get the other 2 to school, take my youngest to the liquor store, and drink all day. All day, every day. I knew no one out here. It was like the perfect storm of isolation. So I was leading a Lego group at my daughter's school out the bike path down, and I would literally carry a cup filled with vodka and a splash of Gatorade to that every single time. No one said anything. No, I'm sure they knew, but if they don't, they know now. But, I feel like that with most of my story. But that was how I dealt with things. I use that term pre-gaming because that's how I did it.
Yeah.
I have to go, it felt like family functions, especially with my ex-husband's side, were all the time. And I felt like I had to drink in order to interact. So when I came into sobriety, it was like, whoa, what do I do?
Yeah. And so tell us a little bit about what anxiety looks like now, because it's still there, right? I mean, it still creeps up.
Oh,
people that say, oh, no, I'm
yeah.
People try to say that to us, don't they? Oh, I don't deal with fear. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't get anxious.
Yeah.
Oh, be anxious for nothing. Oh, come on.
Are you kidding? I was anxious about talking about anxiety today.
Yeah, me too.
I'm
Me
standing
too.
in the back getting anxious.
So what's it look like now? How do you deal with it?
So I will say the first year of sobriety was probably the most difficult year. I was going through a divorce. I had to go to a substance abuse evaluator, parental responsibilities evaluator, an hour away, twice a week.
Yeah.
That resentment brewed the whole way down there. Then I lied to the evaluator, and then I would drive back. The first couple times. And then I realized, I've been sober. I'm doing this deal. I can prove that what I was doing was fighting to keep my kids in the state.
Yeah.
So I ended up with 92% of custody time and have not drank since that first day of sobriety. But what anxiety, I felt anxious every time I would drive down there. So I was fighting for that. I had no job. I had no family here. I had nothing. I literally had to start from scratch. And someone said to me once, do you think God moved you 1,000 miles away so that you could completely break down and rebuild? And I was like, I guess so. And I think that's it. I mean, my life today is so different than it was 10 years ago. I can't even tell you how different it was. I look different. I feel different. I behave differently. I have relationships with my kids today. You know, I was telling someone, I was in a meeting this morning, my oldest sent me a text, Mom, I mowed the lawn. Do you need anything else? I'm like, oh no, what'd you do? You know, okay, what are you trying to make up for? But you know, those are the relationships I get to have.
You know, we talked a few weeks ago about the spiritual awakening, and how do you know when you've had the spiritual awakening? And I think that's what you're describing, this kind of awakening. And there's a book called The 12 and 12, or y'all help me, 12 Steps, 12 Traditions. That book, and in it says the spiritual awakening, we will feel, think, and act differently. We'll be able to do the things we weren't able to do before. Like that's a miracle.
Yeah. When I first went back to Chicago, I was 3 months sober, and I remember friends from there would say, gosh, you've changed. And I'm like, good Lord, I hope so.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm the same person I was a year ago when we moved, I'm in trouble. I might as well start drinking again.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't get sober to stay miserable. So I went through that whole first year. My dad died 5 days before I had a year of sobriety. And he died 35 years sober. And that moment felt like a culmination of my first year. Just one thing after another, after another. And no matter what, I didn't drink. No matter what.
Yeah.
And I think for me, learning that and hearing people say there's nothing a drink will make better, only worse. Nothing. You know, I could have drank over that and woke up the next day and my dad still would have been dead. Still.
Yeah.
And I would have had to deal with that and on top of a hangover and resentment and, you know, shame and guilt.
The miracle of going through anxiety and not having to pick up a drink, not lost on me. If you were to, I know there are people watching tonight, either online or they're going to watch the week, or people here who are really battling that kind of overwhelming anxiety. That kind of, their hands are sweating. They don't know how to make it through. A drink right now, the sun's going down, it's rainy. A drink sounding pretty good. What's one word of wisdom you give to them, or a tool? And sorry, I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, but
Yeah, that's fine.
But it's a good one. I want people to hear it.
Something that helps me is remembering that the brain can only think one thought at a time. One thing. So if I'm praying, if I'm saying the Serenity Prayer, one of my favorite songs is Wasted by Carrie Underwood. I don't want to live my life wasted. If that's in my head, a drink isn't in my head, and that fleeting thought is gone.
Yeah.
For me today, 6 years into this deal, it's very different than it was 6 years ago. Today, I think, who can I call? Who can I help? How can I get out of me?
Yeah. You said that to me, something about, I had it in my notes, I don't know where it went, but to be of maximum service, which we're told that in the 12 steps, the program that we work. To be of maximum service is one way that rescues us out of situations, to be of service to other people.
Yeah. Yep.
So if people want to connect with you, how can they connect with you? Can they connect with you on Facebook or Insta?
Sure, both.
And her name is spelled, can I say it?
Yeah.
Seija. I know some of y'all heard her name say, how do you spell that? Seija. So if you want to connect with Seija, hit her up on social. Also, if you have questions for her, put them in the thread, and will you interact with people on the thread, on the live? Anything else you want to close with?
No, I'm honestly, I think God connects us for a reason.
Yeah.
I've known Noelle on Instagram for 2 years, something like that. And I ran into her at a meeting, and I looked at her and I said, wait, you're Noelle. And then we went hiking, and then we survived a dog. And then I was covered in dog hair and blood and sweat.
Yeah, because the whole thing is about relationships.
It
Like
is.
that's what we are
Yep.
created to be. That's who we are. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. If you will you stick around a few minutes afterwards? If you have questions for Saya, if you want to talk to her, interact with her, stick around. Talk to her. She'll be here. Thank you for being here. I hope you come back.
Thank you.
All right, Saya. Whoops. Happens all of the time. That's true. Noel, behave. All right, y'all. The way we close things down in this community is with heartaches. We just like we celebrate together. Can I stand up, Bobby G? Bobby G in the house helping on the tech team. He's just been doing awesome things. Thank you, Bobby G. Also known as Big Perm. If you haven't seen Fred, look at that. Big Perm. Well, I ain't making this up. I am jealous. Totally. The way we close things around here is with heartaches. We share the burdens together because we weren't created to carry these burdens alone, these heavy things. You can't do it on your own. We've tried, haven't we? We're created that way. So y'all take 3 minutes. Give us the heartaches, the hard things you're carrying. We have a prayer team that'll pray for you throughout the week. We will lift you up. I know this community, y'all lift one another up. You take that very seriously. So take 3 minutes. If you're online, put them in the comments. I know it's like, man, that's creepy. Just put that out for the world. Yeah, that's part of being communities, to be vulnerable. So do it. We invite it. We encourage it. If you're here in the house, we'll do our own thing. We'll see y'all in 3 minutes. You'll do just fine. I feel it. I feel it. Derek, I'm glad you're here, dude.
I'm glad I'm here
Dude,
too.
I like the color of this shirt.
Right, emerald. So,
We've got shirts coming. Danny, when are they coming? Next week? Week of the 9th. Soon. Shirts will be here soon. So y'all who have been asking for shirts will be here soon, and hats will be here soon. All right, Derek, thanks for being up here.
happy to be here.
To pray with this community,
That's right.
read the prayers of the people. You go first.
Mike, praying for my wife, still not feeling well, and doctors can't seem to find a reason why. We lift you up, Mike, and hope that whatever's going on, they find out and can help what's going on with your wife.
Yeah. Prayers for you, Mike. Glad you're part of this community. MJ says, prayers, please, for 17-year-old grandson who desperately needs to find his way in life and feel worthy. MJ, lifting up your grandson. Prayers for him. Prayers for the desperation. Thank you for being part of this community, mentioning that.
Stephen, after 8 months in our home on hospice, Mom passed. We're blessed to have had this time with a beautiful lady who had a beautiful spirit. We laid her to rest today.
Yeah.
Prayers to you and yours. Grateful she was a beautiful lady, beautiful spirit, but again, we lift you up.
All right. Christy says prayers for guidance and healing. Christy, lifting you up in prayer. Glad you're part of this community. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Jen, prayers for a safe drive home tomorrow from Vermont and for Christy having to listen to my 80s music.
Man, that is my style. Rod Stewart, baby, all the way. Journey, yes.
Hall & Oates.
Jen, praying for y'all. Praying
Lift
for
me
y'all.
up, Jen.
All right, Amanda, prayers for Matt, who has been struggling and been in and out of detox and suicide thought, though he knows what God's plan for him is. Amanda, thank you for lifting up Matt. Matt, prayers for you, buddy.
Amen,
And just glad y'all are part of this community. Do we have one more, Danny? All right.
Lala, trying to find a new doctor insurance canceled old one, I'm guessing.
Dude, you read that well.
Yeah.
We're praying.
I have my crayons.
Now,
so-
and I know what it's like. People have 3 minutes and they're typing real fast, so we're not poking fun at
No,
all. Really,
not at all.
We're lifting you up
We
in
lift
prayer.
you up, Lala. We
Thank
help
you
you
for
find
sharing
insurance.
with us,
Yep.
really, and that's a big deal.
Amen.
Thanks for being part of this, Derek.
I love you.
Hey, I love you too,
I
brother.
lift you up.
Thanks, man.
These people are our home. So
That
just wanna
isn't
say
that true, dude? That's the right way to say it. These people are our home. Y'all, it's been really good to be with you all tonight. And as I did mention at the beginning, we are. I don't know if we have the image for it, Danny. I probably didn't give it to you soon enough, but we are continuing. We're the whole month of August. We'll wrap up our Welcome Home campaign because we are still going to continue it. The board said, yes, we need to do this because we know it's now more important than ever to get into our new home and to create permanence of the free mission in our community. And so we had a lofty goal of $600,000. We're right around, I think, 379. Am I right on that? 379. We have a ways to go to get across the finish line. I believe we can do it. And I want to remind you, it is always about the people. Thank you, Derek, for just saying that. The people, are our home. Thank you for saying that, brother. Here's just a little video from Debbie Wagner that I want to show you. The people.
Hi, I'm Debbie. I'm the loved one of an addict. I happened upon Free kind of by accident. I saw a Facebook post about an addiction panel, and I thought, as the loved one of an addict, my daughter was suffering with a meth addiction. I came in that night, I sat in the chairs, and was overcome with a feeling of compassion, a feeling that this was a place that I could heal and release some of my shame and guilt as a parent. I wasn't quite sure how to help my daughter, and coming through these doors, I found a network of advice and friendship and resources through my acquaintances at Free and through Pastor Ryan. I was able to find help for my daughter. When I stood up and shared my story, I was kind of at the end of my rope. I felt very alone and depressed, and I told the group that I really didn't want this to be my life. But as soon as I sat down, I was embraced. I was loved. I had lots of compassion, people calling to see how I was doing. And every week thereafter, I had people interested in me and my story and my daughter. This place is different than church to me because I felt no shame here. I felt like I hadn't caused my daughter's addiction, I couldn't control it, and I couldn't cure it. But the support and the resources through Free let me know that I also wasn't alone. And that is huge when you're a parent dealing with a daughter who's addicted.
Thank you, Debbie. Glad you're part of this community. If you're watching tonight, glad you are part of this community. And I just do want to mention to y'all, there are giving boxes at different places here in the Free community. And really, it is your generous giving. I say this every week. Your generous giving truly does help sustain the mission of Free. We are moving forward together. That I promise you. We are not moving to Sydney, Nebraska, though. Small land, big opportunity. We're staying here. I feel called to this community now more than ever, and that is my commitment to you. We're going to move forward together. We're going to find a home. It's going to happen, y'all. It's going to be good. I trust it. If you want to give online, there's 3 ways to actually do that online. You can download the app. It's free. It is up and running. Free Spiritual Community, and you can give there. You can give one time, weekly, or monthly, or however you want to do it. You can also go to the website, freespiritualcommunity.com/give, and you can give there. Or you can text the number on your screen, and it'll walk you through a set of instructions. Your giving helps sustain the mission at Free, and we are so grateful. Did you know 96 people so far have contributed to the Welcome Home campaign? And I just think that is so awesome. So thank you all for being a part of that. It is not lost on me that for many of you, that's a big deal. You give out of a spiritual practice and out of sacrifice and commitment. And thank you. It means so much to us. And if you want to give to that campaign specifically to go towards the new home and the mission, put Welcome Home in the memo, and we know how to designate that. Whoo, y'all, good to be with you tonight. Really, I needed this. I hope it was good for you too. Let's go out with the Serenity Prayer, and I want to invite you, keep your hands open. It's a sign of openness for what God is able to do in your life, in the community. Be reminded as we pray this, all the things you can't control, all the things you can't change, be reminded of the things you can change. And it's the wisdom part that's hard, isn't it? Ask God for that wisdom. God is good. Let's pray this prayer together. If you don't know it, it's on your screen. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. My free brothers and sisters, may you go in grace and peace and answer this question as we can gauge it. Do you trust God even in the midst of your anxiety? So much grace and peace to you. We will see you next time.